I really hope that everybody had a very safe, restful, and a well-deserved holiday. It's been a long fall. It's been a long year, and I know that everybody was well-deserving of that. Now, I like to pride myself on knowing names and faces, and I'll be honest, this year has not gone well. Between limiting your social contacts and masks, it's been very hard to learn names. So it's been a tough year. So what I did was I started heading outside at pickup when parents were picking up their sons, and talking to parents. And just before the holidays, I was outside speaking to a mom, and in that conversation, we were having a very nice conversation, and she made the comment that she goes, I didn't realize she had been here that long. And what she had done is she had been at the park with some other moms, and they were talking, and she was under the impression I was new because I am kind of new, but she hadn't realized that I had been here for 30 years. So I thought this was not a good thing. And it's not a good thing because I'm asking you to trust me with your sons, or at least to be running the school where the teachers are educating your sons. So I thought it was fairly important that you got to know a little bit about me and who I am. I do have a script, and I'm going to try I'll be on and off the script a little bit. I really just want to talk because I'd like you to have an opportunity to get to know me. And I'm going to start by giving everybody a little bit of background who I am, both family background, educational background, and you can find out a little bit about what it makes me who I am. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my educational philosophy and where I think not necessarily where the school is going to go, but when I talk about what I believe education-wise, hopefully that gives you an idea as to what kinds of things we will be doing over the next little while. And this whole thing should take probably 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how quickly I speak. So I will try not to go too fast. And now what I'd love to do is there is a chat, and if there, we are recording this, but in the chat, if you have any questions, please throw them in there. I may not get to questions tonight. And if I don't, I guarantee you that they will be answered in the updates that go out every Thursday. But I thought I would give you a little bit of background who I am to start with. I'm a West Islander. I was born and I grew up on the West Island. Where the family house was in Centerville. If you've ever been to Centerville, Centerville is as west as you can get in the West Island. If you go west from any part of Centerville, you end up in Lake of Two Mountains. It is as far out there as possible. Mom and dad were both professors at McGill. Dad was a professor in animal science at McDonald College, hence why we were on the West Island. And Mom was she was in the faculty of the physical education faculty at the downtown campus. She dealt with curriculum development, so I actually come by this whole education thing honestly. I'm one of three boys. I'm the middle son. Wherever that's worth, you hear a lot of stories about being the middle child. Anyway, that's me. My older brother Steve is he's the one non-educator in the family. Steve actually runs the warehouse for California Closets. If you have a closet from California Closets, Steve would be the one that ordered everything, cut everything up, put it into a van, and then one of the installers would have put it in your house. But many of our alumni actually know Steve. The other thing that Steve does do is he's really into refereeing hockey. He is actually the referee in chief for Lac St. Louis region of hockey. So if any of if you know anybody that ever trained to be a referee, they would have gone through clinics with Steve. And then my younger brother Tom, I think some of you may know him. Tom is the head of our science department. He's downstairs from here, and he and I and another teacher were the ones that were the founding members of what we call the Oasis. And when your sons get to senior school, the Oasis is a senior science office, a great place to visit, lots of toys. Tom's been with us for over 20 years. And there was a long period of time in the late 90s and early 2000s where every boy in grade 10 at Selwyn House got Tom for physics and myself for chemistry. And then we also did robotics and football together. So you could have had the opportunity to spend an awful lot of time with us. That being said, if you do have more than one child, and sometimes let's say your children do not get along, I'm going to tell you right now, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Being one of three boys, if you ask my mother, there were some really physical days, let's say, for lack of a better word, when we were younger. And I would say those two guys are two of my best friends today. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel if things are not as smooth as they should be at this point. I've been very happily married to my wife, Laura, for over 30 years. We met in high school. But only started dating after I graduated. I was a year ahead of her, and she's looking forward to getting to know all of you and getting to be part of the school. She's really not this year's because of COVID, and she's kind of stayed away. But you will get to meet over the next few years. I have two daughters. The ironic a little bit, I guess, working in all boys school and only had girls. My oldest daughter, Jenna, she's 26 and she got her undergraduate degree from Bishop University and did her grad school at UBC. She now teaches math at Okanagan College in Kelowna, BC. And I don't know if you've ever been to Kelowna. I've been there once. Kelowna is basically vineyards and mountains. That's what it is. And I've been told, I have not been there in the winter, but I've been told there are many days in the winter you can actually play golf and downhill ski on the same day. And we wonder why people that go there don't ever come back. Anyway, so she's out there. My younger daughter, Caitlin, just finished her undergraduate degree at Queen's, and this year's in grad school at U of T. My educational background, I went through McDonald High School, which is part of the Lakeshore School Board on the West Island, followed by John Abbott, and surprise, surprise, I went to McGill. A couple of McGill professor parents, so it was not an option, I guess. Anyway, I have a BSc in chemistry and then a graduate diploma in education. When I graduated from McGill in the 1980s, getting jobs in teaching was very tough in Montreal. Most of the McGill grads were heading down to 401 to Toronto. That's where all the jobs were. I didn't want to go there because I was dating Laura at the time and she had another year to go at McGill. So I got a job at Weston. Weston is a small co-ed school that it's on the top of a street called Connaught where it meets West Broadway. And I'm not really sure where the borders of towns are there, but it's either Montreal West and or NDG based on where you happen to be standing. My dream, however, was teaching Lakeshore School Board. For those of you that are newer to Quebec, the school boards in Quebec used to be divided along religious lines as opposed to linguistic. At that time, Lakeshore was the Protestant school board on the West Island. So that's where I went. That was my dream. I actually had a job offer at John Rennie High School. That was what I saw my future as. And I was on my way to John Rennie. I knew a bunch of teachers there already. And I got a call from Will Mitchell. Will Mitchell and I had met and had talked a few times. Will was the headmaster at Sullivan House. I knew very little about independent education. I went to a co-ed public school. I thought I got a fantastic education. So Will and I had a long chat. This idea of coming downtown to teach at a boys' school in Westmount did not really appeal to me. Anyway, he can be very persuasive, and we had a very nice chat. And I came here, and I've thanked him many times. It really changed my life, and it's just I'm so happy that he did. I actually consider myself incredibly fortunate. In my 30 years here, I worked for 19 years for Will Mitchell, then 11 for Hal Hannaford. And if you go across the country, these are two of the most respected headmasters across the country. They're very different, whole different styles. If you've met them both, they're two very different people, but they're tremendous guys. And I feel very lucky to have met them. I'm a big believer right now in independent education and in single gender education. I think these small schools provide all kinds of opportunities. Academically, there's a lot of good academic schools, big schools, small schools, public schools, private schools, a lot of good academic schools. But I think what makes these schools special is all of the different things you can do, right? If you want to be on a debating team, you can. If you want to be in the school play, regardless of your age, there's a school play for everybody. I will always encourage your boys over time to get involved. Get involved with stuff, try stuff. This is the time to do it. And a small school, you can. When I got here, there was no middle school. Grade 7, the elementary school went up to grade 7, and high school was grade 8 to 11. So I was actually a grade 7 math science teacher when I got here. And at that time, the grade 7 science program was ecology. So I taught grade 7 ecology and grade 7 math. But over my years here, along with ecology and grade 7 math, I taught grade 8 math, biology, general physical science, but chemistry was my main thing. I spent most of my time teaching grade 10, 11 chemistry. I've had the opportunity to coach. I think sports is huge for boys. Actually, it's huge for everybody. Like we tend to talking about boys, but a lot of things we talk about is just good education. But I've coached rugby since I've been here. I coached grade 7 hockey. I spent 5 or 6 years coaching elementary hockey with Jean Pruneau. I coached last 2 years, the juvenile Division 3 hockey team with Mike Morovich. But the bulk of my coaching has been senior football. Mike Morovich and I coached senior football for over 25 years together. On the extracurricular front, when I got here, I started a science fair, and it was interesting. They did not have one, and it was started small in the middle school, and it kind of expanded to grade 8 and then to the elementary school. What was interesting was if you know Brad Moffat, I was having a conversation with Brad, who was my author, who I shared an office with, and I kind of asked him. I said, "Well, how come we've never had a science fair?" And his response was, because we just don't do that here. Now, I had them elaborate on it, and they had made a decision earlier, a few years earlier in the science department, that they weren't going to do extra stuff. It was all about what was happening in the class. That was the focus. I did get Brad onto my side, because about 4 years later, 1995, I got Brad to help me start a robotics program at that point. So he did see the benefits to that. In the mid 1990s, I was part of a team of 7 teachers that Will Mitchell put together. And our job, or our mandate, was to first research, learn about, and decide whether or not a middle school is what we should be doing, and then to implement it. The leader of that team was Carol Manning, which I think many of you know Carol. And just so you're aware, the only other member of that team of 7 that's still in the school is Sylvain DeSalles in grade 7, 8 geography. He was part of that team as well. After 12 years, so the last 12 years, I got to move over to be head of senior school. I loved that job. It was fantastic working with both the kids and the teachers. It's not always easy, and I know you all know this, but sometimes boys do things before they think about what they're doing, and which makes you can be challenging. But you know what? They're good boys, and it is a very rewarding job, and I really enjoyed it. So my philosophy, a little bit, 2 things. One, I'm a big believer in hands-on and experiential learning. And what I mean by that is, it's one of the reasons why I came here as a 23-year-old. The 3 people teaching science chain, if there's any alumni on the call, they'll know that. I already talked about Brad Moffat, who I think is one of the best teachers I've ever seen. But at the same time, the chemistry teacher at the time was a man named Colin Boyle. Colin is, if your son's in senior school right now, Colin is Kevin's father. Kevin, the senior chemistry teacher right now, is Colin's son. And then there was a third man, Monty Crindle, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but he was the biology teacher. These 3 guys were fantastic. For a young teacher, they're incredibly influential. They had the philosophy that you had to do things like throw something off the roof, light something on fire. You had to play with something, even if it broke. They try to learn how it worked, kind of thing. And that's the way that they taught. And I really believe that that's the way that I think all kids learn, but especially boys. Let's play with stuff. Let's see how things work, and let's try to explain things as we go on. And then the other thing is, and the teachers will tell you this, I'm a big believer in modeling behavior. And I learned this from my father. I had a lot of respect for my father. He was one of those guys where very intelligent man, very, very accomplished, didn't say much. But when he talked, you listened because he had something important to say. He grew up on a farm, and I don't know if there's anybody else on the call here who grew up on a farm, but people who grew up on farms are fascinating because they, when they want to fix something, they just fix it with whatever they happen to have around. There's no going to the store. They fix it themselves. So I'm actually working with the House in Centerville where I'm helping them run some wire. And so I'm on the inside in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and Dad's on the roof outside, and the window's open, and I'm drilling a hole. And I've got the drill on a funny angle, and the drill bit snaps. And my dad swore. Now, I was 21. It is the first time I'd ever heard my dad swear. I tell you, my jaw dropped. My dad went white. He was embarrassed that he had done it. Now, don't get me wrong. My dad played hockey, golfed. He, if you talk to his buddies, he knew the words. But his philosophy was that he was going to behave how he thought his 3 boys should behave. So he modeled the behavior that he expected out of us. And I continue to do that for my daughters, and I do it for all the boys here as well. You have my word that I will always model the behavior that I expect from the boys. So, for example, they will not hear me swear. I'm a big proponent of kindness. If they, to the point where they may be sick of me saying it, but I'm a big believer in being kind to each other. And respect, like respect is so important. And so I will model behavior that I expect from the boys at all times. Now, as my years ahead of senior school, I always like to talk to the alumni after they left, because not all of our boys are successful when they leave here. A lot of them are, most of them are, but some of them are not. So I always like to know why. Like, what could we do differently as a school? What's our role? Like what, small school, you can operate in a bubble. What do we need to do to help the kids out? And a couple things. First of all, your boys will get exposed to everything they need to be exposed to, and they will be prepared to handle whatever comes next. Okay, they're ready for CJEP. Doesn't mean they're going to be successful. Okay, but they're ready. They have been exposed to everything they need to know to be successful at that level. but don't get caught up in marks. Everybody gets caught up in marks, and most kids who have done well here will do well at CJEP, and most kids that have struggled here will probably find CJEP tough. But every year they get a couple of guys who did really well here that do poorly at CJEP. And down the same lines, you always get a couple of guys who are like 65, 70 average guys who actually fly when they get to CJEP. I think I can actually predict success for most of the boys as I get to know them. And in my mind, it all boils down to resilience. It's all about what are you going to do when things get tough? What are you going to do when there's a problem? If I go back to a sports analogy for a second, when you're playing hockey or football or baseball or whatever the sport happens to be, and things are going well, it's easy. It's fun. You're ahead. Everybody's happy. Everything's going well. But you really need your best players and you need your leaders when things are going poorly. That's when you find out who your best players are. Now, I'm hoping that Anthony Luca is not on the call, but I would like to tell another story. He always bothers him when he hears this story. But 1993, Mike Morovich and I think had the best football team the school's ever put together. At that time, there was no elite league across Quebec, so we played against all the schools in Montreal. And we had a good season, and we met College Notre Dame, which is Notre Dame here in Montreal is one of the premier football programs in the province. They're very, very strong, and they're very good at it. They do a fantastic job. Anyway, we meet them in the last game of the season, and it's for first place. The winner gets to finish first, and we're excited. And we get there, and it was actually here at Westmount Park, and they beat us 49-8. It was not pretty. They beat us in every aspect of the game. They were the better football team. And everybody knew it on the field that day. And we fast forward 2 weeks now. We had to win a semifinal game in the middle there, but we meet them in the finals. And, Mike and I think we've got a good game plan. I think we're ready to go here. We meet them. And we actually, for the first quarter, we completely dominate them. We actually played really, really well, but we don't score. It doesn't happen. But early in the second quarter, we scored a touchdown, and the guys are ecstatic. They're so excited. We're up 7-0. And then I don't know what happened, but the wheels fell off. And when I say the wheels fell off, in the next 3-4 minutes, they scored 3 times. So we went from being up 7-0 and having dominated the game to being down 20-7. And it was really, and if people on the sideline, we were panicking. And I'm not going to put words in Mike's mouth, but I'll be honest, I was a little worried. Things were not looking good. And we had a grade 11 boy. And I'm not going to mention his name because he still lives in the community, and several of our alumni know him well. But anyone who graduated in the mid-1990s would know him. He gets the team together, and he just says, he looks at everybody and says, "Stop it, relax. We're going to win the football game." And he talked to them, and we won the game 37-26. And I believe to this day, had he not been there, we probably don't win that football game. But there's a case where we needed our leaders to step up and be the leaders. I like to call these challenges speed bumps. And when I was head of senior school, I used to talk about that a lot. All of the boys are going to run into speed bumps along the way. And our job as adults is to help them learn to get over those speed bumps. Unfortunately, if we do not, those speed bumps will grow and they'll become walls. And that's what we have to avoid. And this mistake many of us make as adults, and I did the same thing with my daughters, is that when we see frustration starting and we see that our kids are struggling, what we want to do is we want to fix the problem. We want to either remove the speed bump. We want to find a way to get them around the speed bump. We want to fix it. But you know what? That doesn't help them. Right? We have to be extremely supportive and sensitive to their frustrations, but we can't help them. We can't fix the problem for them. We have to help them fix it, learn how to fix it. CJEP's hard. CJEP in a semester, they will cover what a high school will cover in a year. It's not easy. There's a lot of freedom. We need to know that when they run into one of these speed bumps, they know how to get over them. And throughout their whole lives, right, they're going to run into all kinds of issues, tough things, and we need to know that they're ready to handle whatever adversity that they run into. Now, I'm going to try to share my screen. This is why I got JP with me. I think I got it figured out, but you'll learn very quickly that technology is not my forte. That being said, where did we go here? I lost it. Hang on a second. Where did it go? Okay, wait a second.
Right at the top there where it says meet. No, right there. It's a third.
I know that, but I can't get to it.
Yeah, I move the faces maybe. There you go. Perfect.
There you go. Hang on a second. Make me big again. And then it will present. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Look at that. Every now and then you get lucky. This past summer, I had the opportunity to work with a consultant out of Australia. And what we did was we looked at our mission, our educational philosophy, and our vision statement. And we kind of reworded them down with language that I would prefer. That being said, the senior admin team was heavily involved and they were fantastic throughout this whole thing. And board members were involved as well. So let me just go through a couple things here that we have. This kind of gives you an idea as to where we're going from now on. Or from now. And you said, let me move us here. We're kind of in the way. Okay, I'm going to put you on the screen over there. Sorry about that. Our mission statement. Okay, I'm just going to read this, but the Selwyn House School is a CJEP University preparatory school that enables boys to be respectful, resilient, and hardworking young men who pursue fulfilled, balanced, and purposeful lives anchored by Selwyn Veritas. Through a compassionate and supportive environment, guided by passionate teachers, and academic and program excellence grounded in both English and French language and culture. Now, that's really not that different. That's just a rewording of things, but it's the same principle. Keep in mind that I'm actually a big believer that Selwyn is a great school that's on the right track. So it's not about changing the track. It's about perhaps tweaking a few things, but it's but we're going in the right direction. Hang on a second. That being said, to me, this is what's important. These are the pillars that we're going to build this school on. The first one, and again, these aren't new. They're just kind of rewording things the way that I like them. The guarantee that each boy is known and loved. This is not new, and I know that I believe Hal was the first to coin it. I really think we started making the turn this corner. You know, people like Brendan and Kathy can help me here, but when Minna came, but all of us, if we think back to when we were kids, all of us can think usually of an adult in our lives. Perhaps it was a parent, perhaps it was a teacher, maybe it was a coach who we would do anything for because we had such a great relationship with them. I think this is really important for boys. So we need them to know that they belong to this caring and relational community where members understand each other and grow together. So they have to feel part of the community that we're part of. That's the first step. Second step is this excellent educational experience that promotes reflection and growth as lifelong habits. This is your experiential education. The boys need to play and experiment. And whether that's on their own or with groups, they need to play and experiment. And this next sentence, I think, is extremely important. We want our boys to venture in uncharted areas and disciplines with the confidence to explore, challenge, and innovate without worrying about the limitations of failure. It's not about passing and failing. It's about having the confidence to try stuff. If you go into stuff with the effort and the passion, you will be successful. A lot of people say that a lot of these boys, the jobs that they may be working in may not have been invented yet. If that's true, they better be ready to go into uncharted areas and disciplines with confidence because who knows where they're going. And a million of our community, our language and cultures are important to us. And I like the wording of that because it's all of our languages and cultures. It doesn't matter what what we speak at home. All of these languages and cultures are very, very important. And we want our boys to embrace the heritage of Montreal, Quebec. Montreal is a very special city. I think there's no city like it in the world. It's a fantastic place to live. This French-English mix is tremendous. And these diverse communities, the diversity has just made it even better. Quebec's a great province, and Canada is a tremendous country to live in. So we're very, very lucky to be here. So this is important for the boys as well. Now, the truths haven't changed, the first three anyway. Obviously, we want the boys to be self-aware, have self-respect, self-confidence, and we want them to have self-advocacy. This is one of my favorites, which I harp on quite a bit. Being true to others, like how do you treat each other? You respect, include everybody, compassion and kindness. Again, important. I'm going to rush through the first three only because they're not new. They're the same as they were before. Be true to your school with effort, initiative, commitment, and passion. And again, like I said earlier, I believe if you put in the effort and you're passionate about stuff, and we need to find something every boy is passionate about, you will going to be successful. Not worrying about marks and stuff like that. It's just about your effort and your passion. But this is a new one. Be true to your world with integrity, leadership, partnership, and justice. To me, this is really important, especially with everything that's happening in the world today. And so let me just break these down a little bit more. We say we want boys to be true to their world through integrity. This embodies the qualities of an upstanding citizen through their values, ethics, and actions. Right? Through their values, ethics, and actions. Leadership. We need them to think courageously and critically to inspire hope, promote creativity, and solve problems. Again, if you look what's happening in the world, we need guys who are going to come out and solve problems. Partnership. They need to collaborate to build belonging and create potential in their local, national, and global communities. And lastly, through justice, they need to take responsibility for their social and civic duty to do what is right, fair, and honorable. With everything that's happened over the last year, between the political situation south of the border, I'm not sure if you've watched any news today. I don't think things are getting better in the States. The pandemic that's affected the world, and the pandemic, I think, has taught all of us that the world is a small place and everything we do affects everybody else, and we are all in this together. The importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've done a lot of work over the last year too on this front, and you'll see more of it over the next few months. The whole indigenization process, we have started an indigenization process here. You may not have heard a lot about it yet, but you will over the next few months. We believe it's very, very important for the boys. And the fragile environment, we're living in a very fragile world. We need to build and develop global citizens. These boys we have will be the leaders of the future. We need to make sure that they are ready. They're prepared for it. Anyway, this is just, I'm going to put you back on this. Where did you go? Put you back on this other screen. It's funny, I'm not looking at you. And I'm going to stop sharing. Here we go. This is just a little bit about me. My door is always open. I know that Sharon Walker's there and there are always concerns when I tell people my door is always open, but it really is. Like I'm a big believer that all of us need to talk all the time and always be on the same page. And you have my word that I will always listen to you. That being said, I may not always agree with you. Right, and don't get me wrong. I will not always be right, and if I'm not right, that's okay. I will reevaluate, let's say, and I will apologize when I'm not right. But you do have my word that I do care deeply for your son and the school and yourself. And whatever decision I make, I always make all my decisions with what I think is sorry. I will always make every decision which I think is in the best. Let me try that again. I'm always going to do what I think is in the best interest of your son. Okay, it is. I will always take the best interest of your son in mind as I make all of my decisions. Thank you. There's only one question in the chat, and I will get that out tomorrow in the update. It's about the indigenization process. It basically, just in a short word, it has to do with the recognizing the indigenous population, the residential schools, everything that's gone on throughout the Canada. Anyway, like I said, we'll put some more information in tomorrow's update for you. But we have started it, and your boys are aware of some of the things that we have done. I'd like to thank everybody very much for being here tonight. I wish all of you the best of luck in 2021. It's exciting times, 2021. And we will get through this, and life will return to normal sometime this year. I don't know what normal is going to look like, but I do believe that. I'm really excited about the future. It's been a funny year to start as a headmaster. Mind you, I don't know any different. So anyway, it's been a really good year, and it's just going to get better from here on in. So thank you very much for coming, and have a very, very nice evening.